So sound is good? Yeah. Sound check? Okay. Good. So good afternoon. Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah. Welcome in my workshop here. And my name is Elias, and I am coming from Palestine, not from Pakistan. That's things, when I used to travel to Europe and to the US, I tell them I'm from Palestine. And they said, Pakistan. I said, no, Palestine. And then they say, where is Palestine? And they tell them, like, do you know Jerusalem, Bethlehem? And they say, Israel. Say, no, Palestine. So people are confused between where Palestine is located. But recently we see a lot of global movement is happening that Palestine now is becoming globally recognized and people know. I don't know how many people been to Palestine before. Unfortunately, no. Yeah. But do you know what is the capital of Palestine, of Jerusalem? Yeah. And do you have any idea, like, what is the name of the airport in Palestine? What is it? No, that's in Israel. Yeah, unfortunately, we do not have airport. Yes, so no airport is allowed in Palestine. So I had to fly from Jordan. When I came here, I had to fly from Jordan all the way to Lahore. So today I just want to share more about the life there because, seeing Palestine from the media is totally different than seeing it on the ground. I mean, like, to come and experience and to encounter with Palestinians. I want to share more about life challenges, joy, showing you about the real life of Palestine, not only what you see in the pictures and the media, like the conflict. But I'm interested to also to know from you, like, what are you interested to hear about Palestine? Do you have anything in mind that you want me to highlight or? Yes, please. The common. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's I will. So yeah, I can start by sharing, who I am. My name is Elias, and I was born and raised in the West Bank, in a town called Bethlehem. And Bethlehem is south of Jerusalem, just 10 kilometers from Jerusalem. That we can see Jerusalem from my, balcony. But I never been. No, I've been to Jerusalem, but it's hard to get to Jerusalem. That we cannot go as a Palestinian to Jerusalem and travel freely, where we can, worship and practice our religion. In Palestine, we have two groups. We have the Palestinian Christian, we have the Palestinian Muslim, and we live side by side together without any conflicts. You cannot tell who's Muslim, who's Christian. I was born in Bethlehem. My church is in front of the mosque. We have the mosque of Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiyallahu anh, and we have the Church of Nativity, the birthplace of Nabi Isa. So just a few meters away that you can see the mosque and the church. On Friday you see the whole square is full of Muslim prayers, and on Sunday you see it full of Christian prayers. So this is how the life looks like in Palestine, that we don't have any religious issue. Like, our problem is not a religion issue, that we have Christians and Muslim living together. I was born to a Christian family where my neighbors are Muslim. I used to fast Ramadan with my Muslim friends because I love, when they invite me to iftar. And they come and celebrate Christmas and Easter with us in Bethlehem. But I was born and raised under what is called the Israeli military occupation, that everything in the West Bank is fully controlled by the Israeli military. When I was a child, I used to witness and see and encounter all kind of violence by the Israeli military. Since, I think, you know the history of Palestine, 1948, Israel, occupied Palestine, the historical Palestine, 75% of Palestine, which is today Israel. 25% of the historical Palestine is in the West Bank and Gaza. And I was born in the West Bank, which is occupied in 1967. Israel occupied the West Bank and what we called it now the occupied territories, which is fully under the Israeli military control since 1967. That land, resources, borders, health, education used to be fully under the Israeli control, that we as a Palestinian, we are considered as a second-class citizen, where we don't have the same right as an Israeli Jew. I was born in 1981, and in 1987, the Palestinians decided to take their first uprising, what we called it Intifada, when the Palestinians decided to start their revolution and resistance against the Israeli military system, non-violent, with the non-violent tools. And I grew up in that time when everyone, like all the demonstrations, like in my church, every Sunday we used to go out to the street, led by women actually, and every Friday in the mosque they used to do demonstrations calling for equal rights and for freedom for the Palestinian. And in that time, my town, they decided to start what is called the civil disobedience, because we used to pay tax for the Israeli government without getting equal rights. And we used to pay tax, so we started the civil disobedience, refusing to pay tax for the Israeli, but for Israel, they did a collective punishment for those who refused to pay tax. They've been arrested, they confiscate all your belongings from your home, furnitures and stuff. And in that time, civil disobedience, we started to create a community leadership where local people, they took the lead in leading the needs of the local community. That community, was a committee in charge of education, a committee in charge of health, because at that time we didn't have leadership. There was nothing called Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian leaders were in the diaspora in Tunisia and Algeria, and that time the civil society took the lead to organize, to have a self-organizing community that we used to respond to the needs of the local people. I spent 2 years in my life studying in the house. Like we had in our neighborhood, we had a neighborhood school where teachers used to teach the children in that time, because all schools were closed. I can give many examples of how life, like even the community, they decided not to buy Israeli products. So, for example, the milk that we had in our market used to come from Israeli companies. But in my town, they said, we don't want to buy the milk from Israel, we want to put pressure. And they bought 18 cows, and the 18 cows, they started to produce milk and distribute it to the people in the morning. And you can watch this movie, it's called The Wanted 18. It's free on YouTube. And it gives an example of how Israel see these cows as a threat for the security of the Israel. And they came to the city, they attacked the city, and they arrested these 18 cows, and they took them from the community. So even the 18 cows are a threat. So we called it The Wanted 18. It's a free movie. And This is how I grow up. I grow up a lot of fear, anger, and stress until 1993, when the first peace agreement was signed. And the first peace agreement was signed between Israel and Palestine, and bringing the Palestinian leaders to establish the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank and Gaza. And that was for me a sign of hope. Like, finally, we want to live in peace. We want to have two-state solution, Palestinian independent state living side by side with Israel. But unfortunately, maybe you can show the picture, the map. Here I can show you a map that can give you exact example of, maybe I can just move here. Yeah, so it can give you an example of how the West Bank looks like. This is the West Bank and that's Gaza. So there is no geographical connection between Gaza and the West Bank. I never been to Gaza because there was no connection between Gaza and the West Bank. And what we got from, maybe the second map, please, yeah. So what we got from the peace agreement, that Palestinians had only 18% of the West Bank, which is this green area. I live here in Bethlehem. And here's Ramallah, Jericho, Ramallah, Nablus, Qalqilia, Tulkarim. So that's how the Palestinian state looks like only the green area. The blue area, which is almost 60% of the West Bank, is fully controlled by the Israeli army. This is like no Palestinian authority can control this area. And this is why we can see the red area. These are the Israeli settlements. This is where Israel built the Israeli settlements, and cutting the relationship or any geographical connection between Palestinian cities and towns. For example, if I want to go from Bethlehem to Ramallah, I have to drive through certain roads that there is an Israeli military checkpoint everywhere. We have more than 800 checkpoints between Palestinian cities and towns that this restrictions of movement is very difficult for us. And there is a 22% of the West Bank. These areas are Palestinian villages, but these are not fully controlled by the Palestinian Authority. It's under the Israeli security and under Israeli military. So the Israeli military can come to this area anytime they want. They can arrest people and they can control the life of the Palestinian here. So that was the result of the peace agreement. That I called it the pieces agreement, where they cut the future state of Palestine into pieces and creating facts on the ground that makes the state of Palestine not viable. So maybe we can show the checkpoints. So not only this, Israel, as you can see here, they implemented gates at the entrance of each Palestinian towns. That if you decide to leave decide to leave Bethlehem, you have to go through an Israeli, gate that one soldier can come and close it and leave. And after 4 or 5 hours, they can open it for the Palestinian to move to another cities. That's why you can see people are waiting for these gates to leave. And maybe the next one. And as you can see here also these checkpoints where people are waiting hours and hours to go to their jobs, to universities, schools. And as a Palestinian, we've been identified with a green color ID, that all the Palestinians have a green color ID. That means you cannot leave the West Bank without getting Israeli military permit. So if you want to go, for example, to Jerusalem, it's 15 minutes drive from Bethlehem, but I cannot go to Jerusalem without having like a visa or a permit from the Israeli military to go there. If I want to travel abroad, I need to go through Jordan. Like not, we don't have an airport. So maybe you can show the, yeah, so you can see here how people, like this is the main checkpoint between Bethlehem and Jerusalem. We are in Bethlehem side. Jerusalem is just behind the wall. So these are the workers, the Palestinian workers that they have to go every day to their work in Jerusalem. They have a special Israeli military permit. So they have to go there like by 4, 5 a.m. so they can be in their job by 7, 8, because they have to spend like 3 hours just waiting for everyone to pass. They check your body, they check your ID, they take your fingerprint, and then you go. And you have to come back in the same day. So these are actually, and the other issue is the settlement, which is, as I mentioned before, we had almost 800,000 Israeli settlers. Do you have the picture of the last one? Oh, yeah. These are the Israeli Jewish settlers who are living inside the West Bank. As you can show on the map, we have 800,000 Israeli settlers are living and taking lands to build settlements, and they are attacking the Palestinian every day. And as you can see here, they're all armed settlers. So these are in general questions. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. These are the general issues that Palestinians are facing on a daily basis on the West Bank. Restrictions of movement, that traveling between Palestinian cities is very challenging, that you need to wait hours in the checkpoint. When I came here, I had to leave 3 days before my flight from Amman, because anytime they close the city that you cannot leave the city. So I said, okay, I will leave 3 days before my flight just to make sure I can cross from Bethlehem to Jericho, and from Jericho I cross the border to Jordan. So I had to stay 3 days in Jordan and then take my flight here. And when I go back tomorrow, also I have the same issue. I don't know if I can cross on Tuesday or not, because also the border is controlled by Israel. Like even Palestinian, according to the peace agreement, Palestinian Authority is not allowed to control the borders, not allowed to control the land or the sky. Even our water that we drink comes from Israeli company, and they sell it for the Palestinian Authority, and the Palestinian Authority then distributed to the Palestinian cities and towns. This is why when you come to Palestine, you see all our homes, we have water tanks on the top, because we don't have access to water 24/7, that we need to fill our tanks every 2-3 weeks when they open the water for us. Electricity in the same. So these are, like challenges that we are facing, and the oppression, and that's actually the idea that they are trying to smash the spirit of the Palestinian, that they try to show that Palestinian, we are not human, we don't deserve to live. And it makes us, Palestinians are living under the oppression, that we believe that we deserve life and we deserve to live in a good conditions. This is why we, always come with the creative ideas of resistance. Like we use art, creativity, we connect with our culture, our heritage, our food. Even like they try to steal our food, and they try to promote the Palestinian dishes as if it's an Israeli dishes, like hummus and falafel and stuff. So we try as a Palestinian to highlight, to connect with these, culture and traditions. We organize one of the biggest festival in Bethlehem called Bethlehem Life Festival, where we open the space for people to come and show who they are, like to express their messages and their creativity using art as healing, because Palestinians are traumatized, and we are talking about a collective trauma of 75 years of oppression and occupation, that they are trying to suppress and crush the spirit of living here. And they try even to steal our identity as a Palestinian, that we cannot raise our flag, we cannot show our costume, we cannot show our traditional songs, because these things were not allowed in the past. You know, like raising a Palestinian flag, you can be arrested automatically. Like promoting national songs, promoting Palestinian culture was not permitted. And this is why now, as a Palestinian, I run an organization. I run a civil society organization called Holy Land Trust, where we try to use art and culture as a tool for resilience and for resistance, to connect with our heritage, to our land, to give the Palestinian the feeling that we deserve life and we are human beings, that we are not numbers, as we can hear in the news, like today, like 100 Palestinians being killed. Tomorrow, like 60 Palestinians being killed. Today in Gaza, we have around 70,000 Palestinians being killed, and we are talking about 70,000, you know, stories, dreams, visions, that it's not only numbers, it's a people that they have dream, that they want to, they deserve to live. And we try to show the international community that what's happening in Palestine is not only for the Palestinian, but it's a global issue, that we all need to stand against the injustice. We need to stand against the supreme power that is controlling ourselves. You know, we have so many conflicts around the world, like in Sudan, and I'm sure here in India and Pakistan and all other countries that we have, Ukraine, Russia. So we have to be conscious about these conflicts, and how can we stand against the injustice, and how can we look at the future and not to stuck in the past, like not to, we have to learn from our past, because we as a human always feel we are guilt, like we feel not the guilt, but I mean the victim. We are like, we feel that we are a victim of the past, but how can we look at the future in a different way? How can we create the future that we want? This is why what we do now in Palestine, that when Israel comes and destroy a Palestinian house, we go and rebuild it in the same place and same size as kind of resistance, without, you know, like, because we believe this family deserves to have a house, just simply as any other family, that they need to have a house. So we go and rebuild it, and you know, stand against the injustice. And if we have families that, you know, like they don't have enough money to buy food, we do humanitarian support and support those families, because part of our trauma and part of our depression, that we feel we are unable to do anything. But with the help that we bring through our organization, we try to transform this trauma and this oppression into hope by standing with the Palestinian cause. And what's happening now in the globally for Palestine, you know, like seeing these demonstrations and raising the Palestinian flag gives us a lot of hope. Even we are living under the oppression and we living in daily challenges, but it gives us a lot of hope that we are not alone and we are human. And finally, after 75 years, the international community understands that we are facing a big problem that we need to end. I want to talk about the daily life of the Palestinian. You know, like, despite what is happening, the war in Gaza and the genocide that is happening, people still practice their daily, you know, routines, traditions. You can find daily weddings in Palestine. Like we, you know, celebrating the weddings, daily, you know, cultural activities. Like we have art galleries, theater plays. We still go to school, even like, you know, we have these checkpoints and restrictions. We insist that our children get educated. So we make sure that children go to school. Like practicing our daily, you know, celebrating life. It's all about, you know, celebration and joy. Yeah, despite all this happening, you know, like we can manage, you know, like if I hear that this checkpoint is closed, I can manage how to go into alternative way to find my way to my destination, like in Ramallah or other checkpoints. Or even like you can find people standing in the checkpoint for hours. They have their own shisha, you know, the nargila that we smoke back in their car, and they just do the argila. They do socializing with others. People are selling coffee, selling, you know, drinks. You know that nothing is destroying the spirit of the Palestinian, that we believe that we deserve to live, and we use creativity in managing our life in a different way. So yeah, that's, maybe I can take questions. I see people like are trying to raise their hands, so maybe we can do it like interactive workshop.
First of all, thank you very much, Elias, and welcome to Pakistan. I hope you have a good time spent over here in Pakistan. I have a couple of questions. Have you met Palestinian students that are studying in Pakistan? Do you know there are Palestinian students studying in Pakistan?
I heard, but yeah, I didn't meet any yet.
Okay.
So, I don't know if there is anyone here, but السلام عليكم. كيف الحال؟ من وين؟ أهلا وسهلا. Yeah. So yeah, we have one here.
Finally, that's good. So I have a couple of questions. You talked about Palestinian Muslims, and you talked about Israeli Jews, and you also talked about Palestinian Christians.
Mm-hmm.
From the media, the picture that we get is that the conflict is between the Palestinian Muslims and the Israeli Jews. What is the role of Palestinian Christians? And number one, please do highlight that. And what about the West? Does the West talk about that? Because Christians are the majority people in the world. So what about the Palestinian Christians and where their role come into play? Number one. Number two, I hope you are familiar with Nas Daily. And the way Nas Daily, the way he makes videos, he's Palestinian, with one of her friend from Israel, Aija, I think. So they portray the whole conflict in a very different way. And he's a Palestinian. He doesn't talk about it the way it's shown on media. He talks on a very different direction. So what's your stance on that? Thank you.
And what's his name?
Nas Daily. Nas Daily.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so that's a good thing, yeah, to find out about this guy. But yeah, like talking about Christians and Muslims, as I said, you know, like historically Palestinians and Christians and Muslim, even Jew, used to live in Palestine together, side by side, before 1948. After the establishment of the State of Israel, you know, Jews are not, you know, living in the Palestinian, in Palestine, I mean. We have a Samaritan group. We have like the smallest community in the world, which is Samaritan. It's a Jewish community living in Nablus, you know, in Jerusalem. And we have Christians and Muslim, and for us we are all Palestinian. There's, like in my ID, you cannot tell I'm a Christian. There is nothing says in my ID if I'm a Christian or a Muslim. Because, you know, like it's not that issue. Like for us, for me, I am a Palestinian. When I go to the checkpoint, they see this ID, I am a Palestinian. It doesn't matter if I'm a Christian or not. But even like Israel tried to create this kind of, you know, game of creating a conflict between Christians and Muslim, and we are aware of that, and we are aware that they are trying to, you know, split the relationship between Christians and Muslim. But I can tell, not because I'm Christian, but I can tell the Christians are taking a huge role in the resistance in the Palestinian community. We have many Christians that have been killed by the Israeli army, like martyrs. My father was arrested many years for being part of the resistance. the Church of Nativity was attacked by the Israeli army for 40 days, and 3 people been killed inside the church. In my community, it's a Christian community that we refused to pay tax for the Israeli army. They attacked the town for 40 days, and we have Palestinian, Christians in the Palestinian government that they are actually taking the lead, and it's easier for the Palestinian Christian to speak to the international community, mainly in the US and in Europe. It's easier for us to speak to the Christians in Europe, because also Israel tried to use Christianity as a tool that, like the Bible. And we have many Christian groups in America that they support Israel, the Christian Zionists. And we as a Christian, we always say, no, we as a Palestinian Christian, we do not believe in what the Christian Zionism is saying, because we have our own theology. And we organize a conference called Christ at the Checkpoint, Al-Masih, or like Isa on the border, on the checkpoint, that we try to add to show what is the role of the Palestinian Christians in this conflict. And we are trying to be, not the mediator, but we play a huge role in advocacy and supporting the community. All the the churches are taking the lead in the humanitarian support, and what is happening in Gaza now, the church has been attacked. I don't know if you saw on the news that the church in Gaza was hit and attacked, and there was 40 people being killed. The Baptist hospital in Gaza, which is a Christian hospital, was hit on the beginning of the war, and there was like 500 people being killed. So for Israel in this conflict, there is no real distinguish between Christians and Muslim. So our conflict is not religion. Our conflict is a pure political colonization, a conflict that they want to erase and all the Palestinian from their land. Like in Bethlehem, as I said, we have 23 settlements that was built on a Palestinian land, mainly for Christians and Muslim land. So, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question. Yeah, yes, please.
Do you ever think, or the idea came in your mind that, if I go to Europe or US for higher education or a job, instead of all this peaceful activism, I could have better life with my family, instead of challenges that you are facing right now?
Yeah, I don't know, like if I go to Europe, you mean, or
for higher education or a job, instead of this peaceful activism, you could have a better life there. So why not?
I don't leave Palestine. Like, I feel very much connected. Like if you ask me personally if I want to leave or if I want to live in Europe, no, yeah, I got this opportunity many times, but I feel, Palestine is part of my, it's my life, my heart. I cannot leave Palestine. Even like I go to a lot of speaking tours in Europe and to the US, but I cannot wait to go back home because I feel like this is my home, and I have a call in Palestine. I have a mission in Palestine that I need to be with my people and to support the local communities there. So we have many Palestinians, they got this opportunity that they want to leave, and this is what Israel wants, that they want to push Palestinians to leave, especially the Christian, that they don't want Christian in Palestine, because they know, because they want to promote the Palestinian-Israeli conflict as Muslim-Jew. And this is why they want to push all the Christians to leave. And this is why now we are 1%. Like 1948, we used to be 20%. Now we are just 1% from the community. Because all over there, they try to push the Christians to leave. And it's easy for the Christians to leave than the Muslim. Because, like we can get visa to Europe through one of the churches or one of these institutions. But for me, I will never leave Palestine. Thank you.
I'll comment on the title, Life in the West Bank. While it could be, for us sitting in Pakistan, the title could be Life in Palestine. Is there a difference between a general civil person's life in West Bank versus in Gaza, because both are Palestine and we are ourselves differentiating it? Because some people, including myself, see Gaza as a symbol of resilience and resistance, while West Bank can be seen maybe as a symbol of compromise out of no choice. Is there a difference?
For us, like Palestine is, everywhere is Palestine. We are talking about Gaza, West Bank, the historical Palestine. But my topic here about the West Bank, because I live in the West Bank. I never been to Gaza, as I said. I have many friends in Gaza, but I never been to Gaza. There is no geographical connection between Gaza and the West Bank. We are the same people, we are carrying the same message. We are all standing against the occupation, that we want to end the occupation to have a future independent state, which is the West Bank and Gaza. That was discussed in the peace agreement in 1993, that the future Palestinian state will be the West Bank and Gaza. And that's actually what we are trying to fight for, or to resist for. But I don't know if I answer your question, that I'm here just to share about the life in the West Bank, which is very similar to I don't want to compare it to the life in Gaza, because life in Gaza is more difficult than life in the West Bank. Like Gaza being under the siege for the last 20 years, without any access to any resources. With the current war is becoming very hard. I don't know if I answer it.
Excuse me.
Yeah, okay.
So you started your talk with the fact that sometimes you have to explain to people that where Palestine is. How has that changed since October 2023? And also, when we interact with the Palestinian diaspora and the Israeli diaspora abroad, what I saw that Palestinians have become more, they've owned up to their identity more. If someone is a Lebanese Palestinian, they would, before 23, would say, I am Lebanese, but now they'd say Palestinian. And if someone's a Polish Israeli, they used to say I was Israeli, but now they say we're Polish. So what Israel was actually trying to do, they've actually reversed that. In my point of view, do you think that's the reality? And also, how does this international support affect the people living in West Bank? Does that give them hope? Do they see that people are rallying behind their cause as well? And have you seen that since 2023, where we've been seeing this live genocide, has that rejuvenated sentiments in Palestinians, or is there hope there?
Yeah, so like after October 7th, I can see the recognition of the Palestinian that is becoming, when I used to travel, I used to hide my identity and to hide my passport, like even in the airport, or like when I travel in Europe, I used to be, not afraid, but, very sensitive when I say I'm from Palestine, because I don't know how people will react, because they used to label us as, terrorists, anti-Semitic, all these labels that they've been implemented on the Palestinians. But after October 7th, we see a huge shift in the global community about recognizing Palestine and seeing Palestine from the real eyes, what is really happening, that we've been, as a Palestinian, telling the international community in the last 75 years that there is a problem and we are fighting the injustice, and nobody cares. Nobody even gave any attention to what is happening in Palestine, like even the international community, the UN. And now with the recent recognition, it gives us a lot of hope, even though, like life in the West Bank on the ground, as you can see, it's not, we don't have any, viable state that we can function in with all the challenges, the settlement, the restrictions of movement, border control. But still, at least we have a recognition that maybe the international community can put pressure to end this conflict by having a two-state solution, two independent state where we can get our self-determination, East Jerusalem as our capital, the right of return of the refugees. These are the core issues that we are hoping the international community to start taking action, not only by recognitions on paper. It is good, like I'm not saying it's not it's bad. Like we are very happy about the recognition, but we need actions on the ground that can address the core issue for a future independent Palestinian state. That's what we are hoping. And with Israeli now, like Israel is, like according to the international community, they feel, like they are facing a lot of pressure, which is it helps us as a Palestinian to achieve and fulfill our dream of having an independent state. Yeah.
There's a huge population of Israelis which now announce themselves as Israelis, especially I'm talking about the diaspora, the people that
Yeah.
we come across.
Yeah, they have dual nationality that they can.
Everyone has dual nationality, but they somehow started finding it, which means they don't own up to the propaganda, even though most of them are completely brainwashed when you interact with them.
Yeah.
Palestinians have started owning up to that identity more. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Elias, for being here. I want to know your point of view about the one-state solution and the two-state solution. As you show to us that practically, Israel occupy whole of the West Bank. And we are also aware of the situation in the Gaza. Being a Palestinian, don't think, is it viable to have a one-state solution, state of Israel and Palestine, and you are treated as an equal citizen?
Yeah, so for me, it doesn't matter how many state solution we'll have, like one state, two state, five state. What matters for the Palestinian is the equal rights and the recognition and giving the people their needs and fulfill their needs and to live in freedom and to get their freedom and their right to exist as human beings. With the current situation that we are living with the apartheid system, with the discrimination, we feel, like the two-state solution is very difficult because of the current reality. So for me, it doesn't matter if it's one state, if we get my right as a Palestinian to get my freedom of movement and travel and access to resources, to drive my car, like to go to Haifa or Jaffa or Nazareth without any checkpoints, and the freedom of choice for Palestinians to live wherever they want. Because we have like now 4 million Palestinians, they are denied for getting their rights to come back to Palestine. They are refugees. We have like 16 refugee camps inside the West Bank and Gaza that those people are and still they are having their keys for their home keys to go back to their original homes. So we need a recognition. Like once we get this, it doesn't matter for us one state or two state or 20 state, but what matters is these core issues of the Palestinian. Yeah, thank you. So I have more questions here.
So, firstly, thank you so much for talking about your experiences. It's incredibly courageous and important. So, I had a question, and I'm sorry if it's a bit
Can you
repetitive.
raise your voice?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, I have a question, and I'm sorry if it's a bit repetitive, but I've seen that there is a conflation between Judaism and Zionism, right? So I sort of wanted you to talk about the distinction between them, because I feel like there's a misconception that all Jews sort of promote what's happening in Palestine at the moment and the oppression that's taking place
Yes.
as well. So if you could talk about the distinction between the two and how
Sure,
sort of,
yeah.
Thank
you.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very important and very big question that I can spend the next hour answering it. But yeah, there is a huge difference between Judaism and Zionism, and that's what my experience as a Palestinian Christian. That I always share this story that I used to go to the church, and read the Bible, and everything is connected. That Judaism is part of the Palestinian, like history, and then Christianity, and then Islam came. So we are three monotheistic religions are living there. But after the establishment of the State of Israel, Israel used religion as a tool to accomplish and to fulfill their political agenda, to have a state, political state, controlling the land and to erase everything related to Christians and Muslims. And that's why, for me, it's good to distinguish, like, it's because like we used to have Jewish families living in Bethlehem, in the West Bank, in Arab countries, but after the creation of the State of Israel and the way Israel was created by ethnically cleansing the Palestinian and destroying the Palestinian villages, like more than 520 Palestinian villages being destroyed, and kicking all these Palestinians from their homes, we start to see Israel as the main representative of the Jewish people. So we link the Jewish people with Israel, and and this is why also part of the thing that we have to distinguish that there is a lot of Jewish people are anti-Zionism and anti-Israel, and we have a lot of Jewish supporter for the right of the Palestinian to self-determination. We have a lot of Jewish Israeli activists that they are standing and fighting for the Palestinian rights and to end the occupation. So there is no relationship between Judaism, like Israel is not representing the Jewish people, because in Islam, in Christianity, we respect all prophets and we respect all religion, that we all pray for the same God, for Allah. And in Arabic, in Christians they say Allah, in Muslim they say Allah, and in Jewish people they say Elohim. So, but Israel is always trying to play on this religion aspect, that they have the right to live and to create a Jewish state, and they call themselves the only democratic state in the Middle East. So you cannot be a religion state with democracy. Either you have to choose democracy or religion. Yeah. So yeah, we have more questions here.
Hello, sir. Thank you for being here with us. I think that the discussions that we're having are incredibly illuminating. Now, I can understand, I think, perhaps to a very small extent, why you would want to have these conversations, why you would want to reach out to the international communities and to present at forums like such and talk about your country and the issues that it is riddled with. But my question to you is, do you think that these conversations are having the kind of impact that you would want them to have, and especially at a time as crucial as right now?
Yeah, you mean these international discussions?
Yes, your discussions with the international community, do you think that they're having the kind of response, they're giving you the kind of response, they're having the kind of impact that you would want them to have?
Yeah, I think it's very, very important for such, conversation to happen on the international community. These are part of our advocacy to share the story of Palestine, because as I said before, like nobody knows, about Palestine. When I used to go to Europe, they think I'm from Pakistan, not from Palestine, because they don't distinguish. So now, after this advocacy, and we as a Palestinian, we use tourism as well, because Palestine is a touristic place for Christians, Muslim, and Jew, and we receive millions of tourists every day, every year, and we use tourism as a tool for advocacy to tell international about what's happening in Palestine and to take action. That as I said, it's a global responsibility to end all kind of injustice and oppression in the world, and Palestine is one of these places that we as an international community need to take action to end the oppression and the supreme power So yeah, it's very helpful for us to come and share these with the international community. Did I answer your question right?
Hello. Hi, I just wanted to add to her question
Yes.
about what do you think the role of the media around the world has played in the delay and response of the entire world in the genocide that is happening in Palestine?
Yeah, like as you see, like media is controlled by like in certain groups that like media does not really show the reality as it is in Palestine. That's only targeting part of the story, like showing one section of, as I said, Palestinians are having a lot of story to share, joyful story, culture, and media is playing kind of like a negative role in the past, but now after October 7th, I can say many media are trying to focus and highlight and spotlight on Palestine and giving the Palestinian a space to share our voices. In the past, we were not allowed to share our stories. Many journalists being killed so far in Gaza and the West Bank. Many news agencies being closed by Israel because they know the importance of the media for the Palestinian and they want to silence these voices. But now we can see like the international media is playing a huge role in impacting, a good impact for the Palestinian, that now people are aware. Social media is playing a huge role as well, where we can get many stories from Gaza on social media and Instagram, while, journalists are not allowed to enter Gaza. Like many journalists, they tried to get into Gaza, but Israel refused to allow any international media in Gaza. And with the social media now, with the Instagram, we have many local Gazan people are sharing their stories to millions of people through this through these platforms. So yeah, it's really important. So I don't know if we have more question here.
Last question. What's the message that you want to give to us here in Pakistan? That although we are doing boycott, that's the minimum damage that we can do. So what else message that you want to give to us being in Pakistan that we should, because we are with Palestine. We are with Palestine, we are Palestini.
Yeah.
I always promote that very openly. What's the message from your side? What should we, being Pakistani, should be doing to promote and support your cause?
Yeah, thank you. Just, I always say, like, what I ask from the international community is just to be, educated about what's happening in Palestine, not to just follow the media, but to get the real stories from Palestine, to support the civil society movement in Palestine, like if the way that you can help, through donations to civil society that they do, humanitarian support, to share stories with others about Palestine, to educate your community about Palestine, and that the Palestinians, that they deserve to live, that we have to keep resisting until we get our right. And we are expecting from the international community that they will help the Palestinians to get their right by putting pressure, through lobbying and advocacy, to put pressure on changing the policy and for the Palestinian rights. So advocating, connecting, even sharing stories on social media, and finding, a good civil society organization that you can donate and help, because the civil society now are functioning as a shadow to the governments, they are replacing the government, because our government is very weak when it comes to resources. So now the civil society are taking the lead in supporting the community by providing humanitarian support, like building homes, providing basic needs. So I just encourage you to look at a good civil society organization to support. Yeah, and I can help. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and really a pleasure being here and enjoying the culture and the experience of Lahore. And I wish that you can come and visit us one day in Palestine, inshallah. Thank you.